aim to motivate and inspire viewers to enjoy the clothes they wear as an expression of their personality and their beliefs. This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look.
Hello, welcome to episode 47 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I am your host. Today, a short section on knitting. I only have 2 works in progress to share with you, and then on to Layercake, where we will look at the various shapes and lengths of the Layercake trousers and how they affect the silhouette of your layer cakes, and talk very briefly about a pre-order that I'm about to start, allowing you to order the summer weight linen in white and in undyed, and an in-between crossweave of white and undyed in the Smocks and Tabards. But before then, let's have a quick look at what's on my needles. So, like I said, only 2 works in progress. I've draped one of them behind me here. This is the, Pressed Flower Shawl by Christoffers. This is as far as I've got. And one of the reasons that my progress is not quite as fast, try and keep my needles off the table because they clack very loudly, is that I am knitting this in a fine 4-ply, or rather a 3-ply. So the yarns I'm knitting with is Le Petit lamb's wool from Biche et Bouche, which runs 500 meters per 100 grams, so thinner than your standard 4-ply, and my own linen 3-ply for the bright pink flowers, which is 600 meters per 100 grams. And I'm knitting this on 3¼ millimeter needles. The original pattern asks for a DK yarn knitted on 4 millimeter needles, and big strides forwards much faster. So I think the gauge is 20 stitches per 4 inches, and my gauge is 30 stitches per 4 inches. And in my row count, that goes up even further. I think the original pattern is 38 rows for 4 inches, and my gauge is over 60. I think it's 64 rows. So as a result, the whole pattern shrinks down. Now, the pattern is made up out of this regular placement of flowers for the main body, and then the flowers just come a little bit closer together for the edging. I'll show you a picture of the original here. And of course, because my shawl shrinks down, the flowers go a little bit closer together, but since it's just a repetition of the same number of rows, I can just keep going until I'm happy with the size of my main body, and then add the border. In total, the number of stitches that I knit, of course, is far greater than the original, but I also end up with a thinner, finer shawl. And in the grand scheme of things, that is my preference. I don't like my shawls too bulky, because then I don't wear them, because I get too warm. I'll just drape this on one side. There we are. I absolutely adore the rhythm of the stitches. It's a very intuitive pattern. It's very easy to memorize the placement of the flowers. And there is stranding, of course, behind the flowers, but that's never more than 3 stitches. So the back of the shawl is actually really pretty as well, as you can see. I highly recommend this pattern. It is fabulous to work, and I love the texture that I've achieved. I've nearly finished my first 50-gram ball in the wool in the Biche et Bouche, Le Petit lamb's wool, so I'm going to dip into the second ball, and my guess is that I'll end up using about 75 grams, about 1.5 skein of the Le Petit Lambswool, but I'll see, I'll keep you posted on this. But yeah, really enjoying it, and of course showing it off with similar colors. I love the contrast and the strength of these colors together. Talking of contrast, I'm definitely on a contrast kick at the moment, because this is my second work in progress. Again with the bright pink, but this time combined with the linen coral color. I'm knitting one of my little Dunboard scarves, which is a form of double knitting, as you can see, with the purl side on the outside of the stitches. And by swapping the yarns while you're knitting, the whole fabric becomes integrated in one rather than double. Instructions, of course, on the pattern. I have kits and I sell the pattern loose as well. And of course, if you knit this on with a different yarn, a thicker yarn and bigger needles, as per usual, the whole pattern blows up and becomes a little bit bigger. In this case, I'm using 2.75 millimeter needles as I have prescribed on the pattern with my 3-ply linen, and I really like the fabric that gives. There's a slight transparency to it, but not a lot. And I'm going to knit this scarf and then embellish it by embroidering on it with a third color. I won't tell you yet exactly what I'm doing. I'll show you when I get closer to it. But for now, this is my second work in progress. Look at that. Ooh, summer sweeties. So that's all for the knitting side of things. This is the coral color that I sell as well. I think, is it pomegranate? I think it might be called pomegranate. If not, I'll put the correct title underneath. And this is of course also the color of the pomegranate dress that we've just done, the tulip dress in pomegranate. So I think this, a pomegranate dress with this scarfie and then one of the step tops in the pink. I think I love that together. So juicy and so summery and so happy. So watch this space. I'll show you more of that as it comes along. Let's move on to Layercake this week. Like I said, I'll be talking about the trousers and the way they fit and sit differently, how their circumferences compare, and how that affects the silhouette of your layer cakes when you combine them with other parts of the collection. And a short bit about doing neutrals and white in the Smocks and Tabards just in time for summer still. Enjoy. Here we go with Layercake. Layercake trousers this week. I'm starting with a pair of black palazzos, and these are the long length palazzos in the size large. That is the middle of the three sizes because we now do them in small, large and extra large. So this is the large. I'll keep this little black mini tabard on so you get a good view of the trousers, and I will try and keep all the trousers in black so you can really see the difference in their silhouettes, because when we start playing with color, things change a lot immediately. I'll show you how. See what I mean? That's just changing from black to dark gray, and you already have an impact of what a different color does. It would be an even stronger impact if the color change would be bigger. I'll show you one other color before we're going back to black. From charcoal to bitter lime, and see how different it is. Same length, same size, but already a big difference. So because I want to just compare the differences in the silhouettes, I'll keep it all black. Here we go. Back to my starting point, size large, longer length. How about making it a bit shorter? Palazzo still size large, but the regular length. 4 inches shorter, which gives that slightly cropped look. Other than that, they're the same. So how about making them bigger? Making them smaller is not an option in my case because they wouldn't fit me, but we can go up, right? Let's see what happens if we do go up. Extra large, longer length, because that's the only one I've got in the black. Is that true? Let me check that. No, it wasn't true. I've got the regular length also in the extra large. So I'm going to show you that as well. But this is the extra large palazzos in the longer length. So you can see the extra fabric around me, but it's not ridiculous. It all depends on what I'm after in terms of silhouette, which is why I also always try and guide everyone to look at the extensive size measurements and garment measurements that are on the website. And if you are bamboozled by those numbers, then compare a measure to some of your existing garments, or drop me an email or give me a call, and I'm very happy to talk you through them. But it happens time and time again that people just look at the sizes kind of vaguely, but don't check the measurements, and therefore then end up ordering the wrong size because they didn't realize that we make a much wider range of sizes than most brands do. Of course, it's not a problem, but it just leads to extra shipment costs, etc., which can all be avoided. So please check your sizes and the garment measurements before deciding, because you might discover that there's more than one size for you to choose from that would both look good, as demonstrated, depending on what look you're after. That's part of this podcast, part of the reason for the podcast. So now I'm going to change from the extra large long to the extra large regular. Back in a second. Here it is, regular length, extra large. I really like the proportions on this. So when it comes to my next pair of palazzos, I may go here, maybe in a color, because it's kind of fun and funky. It's not as formal and straight as the large long black ones are on me. So that's another consideration, how to wear them and whether it's more informal and more fun or more dressy, and whether you would like to have the choice with the garments that you have. But this is a good example of creating a relatively classic shape, but then by playing with the proportions and the dimensions, turning it into something a bit more funky. So speaking of funky, let's move to the baggies next, because I tend to wear my baggies very long, but what would it look like if I go for a pair of large baggies in the regular length? Let's have a look. And here they are, large baggies in the regular length. And the leg at the bottom is narrower, of course, than the palazzos, but you get a little bit of the roundness that the extra large palazzos had on me as well. So in terms of silhouette, there are some similarities. The difference, of course, being the narrower leg at the bottom, the dropped crotch, obviously, but in terms of silhouette, can you see the similarities? Let's make them longer first. Well, this is my favorite look, tends to be the look that I go for, the long baggies in the large size. However, as you know, the baggies are very, very wide. There's a reason they're called baggies, right? So what happens if somebody my size, I'm a size 18 around my waist, probably close to a 20 around my hips. I haven't actually measured it recently because I don't want to know. But if I go down to a small pair of baggies in the long length, what would happen? Let's see. Small, long. See, some of that volume is gone, but they're still plenty wide enough for me to wear. So it's back to, see, lots of movement still here and enough around the hips. Less fabric around my tummy and back. So depending on what I'm wearing it with, if I wear something more fitted on top, then I may choose to go for a narrower pair of baggies, which leaves the rest of the silhouette as I like it, but creates less fabric around my waist. And that's an interesting option to play with and an interesting choice to add depending on your measurements. So apart from making sure that you kind of match up your measurements with the garment measurements, you then may find that you have room to play. One more to add, I'll go for the smaller size and the shorter length in the baggies to compare that as well. Ta-da! These remind me a little bit of the old-fashioned Dutch fisherman's trousers. If I can find a picture, I'll show it here. Know what I mean? So, smaller size and shorter. Interesting option for summer maybe, the idea of wearing shorter trousers. And in terms of the rest of our Layercake collection compared to the trousers, we don't offer quite as many different size and length variants as we do in our tops. First of all, because with the elastic waistbands, you can cover a larger number of sizes with one garment, but also because between the tops and the bottoms, we sell a lot less trousers than we do tops. As a result, there may be less choice for you and you may end up shying away from the bottoms because you think, that's not really what I'm looking for. In that respect, please tell us if you feel that way. Tell us if you want to see a particular extra size or whatever. That's what happened with the palazzos. I got the feedback that the large palazzos really were leaving out too large a segment of our wearers, so we added the extra large. Same goes with the step top. I kept getting the feedback that some people really felt swamped in the step top, the larger size that I made, so we developed a smaller size, and we'll keep doing that. I'll keep adding more as fast as I can. We're still only the smallest label in the world, as I call us. I hope that's going to change, of course. We keep creeping up in terms of turnover, and I'm hoping this coming year to do that a little bit faster, especially with the world opening up again, because it allows me to fulfill more wishes and add both new garments as well as a broader range of sizes. All right. Off my soapbox again. We've got a pair of trousers that I haven't shown you yet at all, which of course are our high-lows. And the high-lows are the trousers where we actually only have one size, which kind of in between the large and the extra large of the palazzos, and two lengths. Let me show you those next, and I'll start with the regular length because they're going to be comparable in length to these. Loose and untied, so you see the straps at the bottom, the regular length high-lows. Putting my hands in to give you an idea of dimensions and proportions. There's one big difference between the regular length high-lows and the long length high-lows. The regular length just have the one pocket down here, further down the leg, and the long high-lows have two sets of pockets. I'll show you that in a minute. But before we go there, I want to compare, just by clicking through and showing you in short succession, these comparing them. Oh, actually, I can do that with photographs. So comparing these to the palazzos in the large size regular length, showing you those here, and then in the extra large regular length. Gives you an idea of the difference in silhouette. Of course, you can see that the pockets are in a different position. So high-lows, regular length, palazzos, regular length, size large, and palazzos, regular length, size extra large. Does that help? Right, we're going back to the high-lows. I'm going to show you the last length. Or do we want to tie these up? Okay, I'll tie these up as well, just to show you what happens. Something you can do, by the way, like what I'm doing now, is only tie up the outside, for example. Leaving them long, you can tie away these, of course, by putting them in a bow on the inside and just having that asymmetric look. That's really effective as well. It doesn't always have to be completely tied on both sides. We get this difference in length. So you get balloony effect and a slight shortening. So that's the regular length high-lows tied up. One thing to mention, I'm just feeling here, of course, because there are no pockets here, this is another pair of trousers where the amount of fabric here is limited. So if you don't like to have pockets on pockets, or you're wearing something more fitted over the top, then these are consideration, because unlike the long high-lows, they only have that one pocket lower down. Let me show you the long ones next. Long high-lows. There's my pocket, see? You can tell that I normally wear this length because I'm used to those being here, and I kept going like that with the shorter ones. But you can see the difference. With the shorter ones, the pockets are kind of in between these two sets. So when it comes to overall length, you can see that on the sizing grid on the website, which I'll show you here. Then the outside leg measurement, so measuring trousers from the waist all the way down to the bottom hem, the long trousers, be they baggies or high-lows or palazzos, are all really similar in their overall length. And then the regular length is just 4 inches less than that. Those are the main differences in terms of length. So the other differences are all about the silhouette and how you can play with those silhouettes. I hope you found that useful. One thing before I go, and that's to have a quick chat about light colors in light fabric for the summer months in our Smocks and Tabards. I'll just get the bits and pieces together for that. There, so showing you here, I am wearing a smock in the lighter weight linen, undyed. And what I am proposing and what we'll be making, and I'm putting that up as a pre-order now, available to order for the next 2 weeks or so from today or from this weekend, is the possibility to order a smock or a tabard in white or in natural, so that's undyed linen. But both of these, well, all three of these are the thinner summer weight, or medium weight as I call it, linen. So that's the natural color. And here the third one, which is quite an exciting option, it's a cross weave that has the white as the warp and then the undyed as the weft. So what you get is a color that's kind of in between the white and the natural. Can you see that? If I hold them all together, this guy is kind of in between. So I'll call this one white, this one natural, and this one pebble. So all three colors available as a pre-order in that lighter weight, summer weight, for Smocks and Tabards. It'll be a limited edition run just to produce them all in one go, just in time for the warmest time of the year. And yeah, that's all there is to say about it, really. Of course, I will pass on the savings of making them all together like that to you, as I normally do. The other thing that's coming down the pike is that I'm going to have to address the standard pricing of some of the garments, because the new fabric that I've been ordering, it's coming in at a higher price. The making prices, the production prices for the garments has gone up, and so far I've swallowed that cost, but I'm going to have to start passing it on, because I'm not able to pay myself, which is not okay. So I hope you understand that, and that is acceptable. I don't really have any other choice, but I will keep moving in the same direction of doing these pre-orders so we can make them in bigger batches and then pass on any savings that generates to you guys. And I think it's the way of the future for Layercake. So that's it for me this time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Let me see if I can do this one-handed.